Hello and welcome to draft analysis for this is BBDL. Um, this is season 6. I am in their Terrakion division, which is their middle skill division, not low, not high. Um, I picked that myself. I did. I wasn't sure where I should go, but yeah, this is season 6. I decided to start doing content again. In addition, they said if you upload the whole season, we'll give you $20, which listen, I'm doing it for the love of the game at this point. Okay, I don't need the 20, but it's a nice bonus, and it gets me off my ass, so I'm gonna do it. Um, the rules for this league are pretty simple. It's 16 coaches, snake style draft, the usual. Yeah, you get 9 to 10 mons instead of 9 to 11, so that's something of note. I have 10 Pokeballs in left. I only end up getting 9 mons, just to say it outright. In addition, I believe I said already that it's Natex. It's a bit on the safer side when it comes to what mons should be allowed. G and Pound Spectre are banned. The very tricky mons like No D-Dance Kieran Black or Shaman Sky are also banned. Latios Mega, No Nasty Blood, Alakazam Mega are all banned. And in addition to that, there's no Terra, which is interesting because in my league, we do 115 points, 9 to 11, but Terra ends up making you cost more points. So going into this league, I knew already that I could be a little bit more top heavy, just because I'm not going to be spending a lot of points. I'm not going to be spending any points on Terra, so I could be a lot more liberal with what mons I get. But coming into this, I ended up as pick 13. So I had 3 people behind me, and 12 in front, obviously. This gives me the opportunity to run with a lot more synergy, because there's just no one behind me. Which is nice, but it also means I don't get any early picks. So mons like Dragapult, Iron Valiant, Tapu Koko, etc., I'm not getting. Let's be frank. I'm not getting those guys. So I started thinking. And I started coming up with what mons I would want to get. I started getting like a flowchart together. Which mons would I pick if it got down to me? I considered, given that I wanted a lot of synergy, I fell down to, I want a gimmick team. I want one of terrain or weather. Now, a lot of the weathers I'm not fond of. I've used Sun in Gen 9 already. I didn't find it particularly entertaining, so I kind of ruled that out right away. Rain, I thought about briefly, but it went away as soon as someone took Pelipper. Someone first picked Pelipper, which I respect. I think that's a great first pick because it got me off Rain. In addition, I thought about sand and snow. Snow is boring, and sand has not changed from Gen 8 at all. So I didn't really care for those. So weather was kind of ruled out. So that means terrain. And there's really only one gimmick with terrain since Coco got taken. There's really only one gimmick with terrain that I haven't tried yet, and it's Sneasler. I'm burning Sneasler in terrain. I was a little surprised to see Sneasler fell all the way down here. It is an 18-point mon. It's max 20 in this league, but the 20-pointers are like Dragapult and Dragapult. So, oh no, it's Dragapult and Valiant. But still, I was very surprised to see Sneasler fall all the way down here. I was happy about it, don't get me wrong, but a little surprised. We all know what Sneasler does. Unburden, Swords Dance, Dual Stab, throw some coverage on there, sweep teams. I said I wanted terrain, and it was more important to me that I get Sneasler because I didn't really care which terrain. I had a idea of the priority of what I wanted to get, but I figured with only 3 people behind me, there was no way all 3 terrains got taken behind me. All 3 terrains that were left anyways, because Coco was already taken. I didn't really want to run Coco Sneasler anyways. So Sneasler first, makes sense. Sneasler is also one you can use outside of terrain, worst comes to worst. So, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. This is also Dire Claw legal Sneasler, which I was thrilled about. And I can't say that also didn't play a factor in taking it because I didn't want anyone else to use it. I did not want to fight a Dire Claw Sneasler. So, yeah, I was very happy with that. But The three people behind me, um, they all took dragons. None of them took terrain. They were all going for kind of similar team comps off rip, just in terms of getting a tier 1 dragon and then working to support that tier 1 dragon. Um, so because of that, I got my option of which terrain to get. None of them got taken. It was between three: Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele, and Rillaboom, the three remaining Tapus. So my options were Finny got ruled out right away. I'm using Dire Claw. I want to abuse Dire Claw. Misty Terrain means I can't abuse Dire Claw. So we're ruling that out. Additionally, you got Tapu Lele. Lele, I've seen people use Sneasel or Lele before. It's offensively broken, defensively awful, as you can probably imagine. With Sneasler, I was kind of already thinking through what I wanted the back half of my draft to be, and it was way better for me to get a bulky pivot than to get another breaker with what I wanted to get in the back. So I got Rillaboom. I've used Rillaboom in draft in the past. I haven't used it to its full potential at all. Back when I was using it, I was pretty bad at the game. I used to do videos on this channel for anyone unaware, and I took a lot of them down because I was a lot younger, a lot more immature, and terrible at the game. So I'm excited to use this mon again and actually do some justice to it. With the Grassy Glide nerf after Gen 8, it's not as good, obviously, but it's still a good mon. Like, the Grassy Glide is still a good move. But this mon can do a lot. It could be a setup sweeper. It's not particularly wonderful in it, but it's possible. A bulky setup sweeper too, with like bulk up and such. But mainly what I need it for, which is why, again, why I drafted it, and what it's best at is bulky pivot. It comes in, it puts up terrain, it clicks U-turn, which is what I want. I want to be able to move my pieces around, and with the rest of the mons that I have on my team, I just figured this was a lot of a better option than what Tapu Lele could be for my team. So, this is when I really started thinking my team through. I got my first two mons. It's time to start thinking about what else to get. I had a lot of time. There are 24 picks between when I pick and when I pick again, since, again, it's snake style. So I got to go through the 12 other coaches along the other end of the draft, and then they all picked again before I get to pick again. So I had a lot of time to think about it. I settled on I want to start working towards figuring out my Fairy Dragon Steel comp first. I figured now that round 1 was gone, a lot of and especially with round 2, going through, a lot of the dragons that people want are going to get taken, so I could probably wait on the dragon. This is the first time in a while as well that I've really put the dragon type on the back burner, because I mean, Sneasel are Rillaboom, right? So my dragon is going to be a bit of a more budget dragon, but I think it'll still be good for this team. In addition, I wanted a fairy. The fairy one was dangerous. I don't like a lot of the fairies, just in general. I don't like using them. I think the bulky fairies are annoying to use. I like the offensive ones significantly more, but obviously Valiant was gone by now. So it really came down to what fairy did I like and what was going to still be on the board. And should I take my fairy now, or should I take it later? Because what I could do is get, like, Florges or something, and then wait forever. But I noticed, by the time it got back to me, that a fairy that I've already used, that I've had a ton of fun with, was still on the board. And in addition, let's look at what, put yourself in my shoes here. This is the information I had. These were the 3 people behind me, right? Let's look at these teams. So, Kobe has Gouging Fire, Tornadus. Gouging Fire, Broken Dragon, Tornadus, really good pivot. Kara has a Kyurem and a Victini, both good mons. There's not much more explanation needed there. Mystics has Garchomp, Goldengo. Obviously, they're probably looking to get a fairy relatively soon to round out that Dragon Fairy Steel. Every one of these people took a Tier 1 Dragon. Any one of them could take a good fairy and have a really nice team. So I figured if I'm going to take a good fairy, I need to do it now. So I got a Namorous immediately. A Namorous has been one of my favorite, if not my favorite fairy type, outside of maybe Iron Valiant that I've used in draft. But Valiant is kind of like saying your favorite dragon type to use is Dragapult, or your favorite ghost type to use is Dragapult. That's like an obvious answer. Enamorous has been ridiculously fun. I used it in Red Cord Draft Season 3. I got a ton of value out of it. I love how adaptable this mon is. I love its speed. I love how many different items you can run. I love Contrary Superpower. There's so many things you can do with this mon. and I am really excited to use it again. In addition, I'm happy that I have a fairy that I like using. But yeah, this had to get taken now, because the 3 dragon types behind me were probably all licking their lips looking for fairies. I don't know if any of them took fairies right away. I'm not going to pull up the dock now, but, you know, I couldn't take that risk myself. So my next pick, I was eyeing up 2 mons in particular. One is the dragon type that I ended up picking, and the other one was when I got Sneasel Rillaboom, I had started eyeing up this Pokemon, this fire type that I was pondering. And I was shocked that it was not taken. But in draft, a really high point mon that is not taken after the first 2 rounds likely means no one has plans on it, because they would have taken it a lot sooner rather than later. So I started thinking about it, especially because that was more of a mon that you build a team around rather than a mon that you get as support later on. I chose instead to go for my dragon. Why? I thought this dragon worked better for my team, and I was in terrible shape if it got sniped. The fire type that I was thinking about I didn't really care if it got sniped. I could find backups. There were plenty of fire types still on the board. The big one was that Cinderace was also still on the board. I wasn't super thrilled about potentially getting Cinderace, mostly because I planned on a Rapid Spinner that I was kind of happy with having on my team, but also I already have a Sneasler and a Rillaboom who are both physical. I have an Enamorus that's going to bring superpower a lot. That's obviously can be physical a lot of the time. Getting another physical mon just felt counterintuitive. But I figured I could let that fire type go, and if it got taken, I wouldn't be pressed. I could get a different fire type. There's more than a couple fire types that I'm perfectly okay with using. But if this dragon got taken, I would have been in bad shape, and there were a lot of people still without dragons. So I took Raging Bolt. I was so happy to get this mod on this team. Raging Bolt in terrain was something I settled on almost immediately after coming to the Sneasel Rillaboom conclusion. It's a budget dragon, which means I can focus more points on other areas of my team, which is good, because Sneasler is very expensive and doesn't really fill out cores very much, besides having Toxic Spikes, which isn't going to be brought very often. The Raging Bolt can do a lot. It can be a bulky setup sweeper. It could be a pivot mon with a Volt Switch. It could even just be a bulky switch in general if you want to run something like Assault Vest. All very common answers. It's more priority. I probably don't need more priority than this. Spoiler, I'm going to get more priority than this. But, I mean, with Fake Out Sneasler, if I want to run, Fake Out Normal Gen, Unburden is basically priority. Aggressive Guide Boom and Thunderclap Raging Bolt, I'm not going to have a lot of tough time with, or I'm not going to have a bad time with Shadow Sweepers a lot of the time, so that makes me pretty happy. But, the big reason, and it's kind of obvious, but the big reason I wanted this mod on my team, it's probably the best possible dragon you can get on a grassy terrain team in terms of synergy. It's weak to fairy, dragon, and ground types, right? Obviously the fairy and dragon you can't really do much about with most dragon types unless you want to get a fucking Duraludon. But the ground type, which I said all dragons are weak to ground type, this one is weak to ground type. Grassy terrain means I have the damage of Earthquake, which is really nice for Raging Bolt. Especially for a mon that likes to spam CM, Earthquake means that physical hits are going to be really hard to do to this mon. So people are forced to run Stopping Tantrum, which is already a lot weaker, or High Horsepower, which isn't significantly weaker but has a chance to miss, and not every mon gets it. So, yeah, getting this mon, very nice for me. I was very happy with it. I'm glad I was able to pick it up. I'm glad I didn't get taken. But yeah, now I went on the long run of all the 24 picks ahead of me, still thinking about this fire type that I've been teasing. Again, I was like, if this gets taken, I could also get Cinderace, which would be nice, because I'm not great in the hazards department right now. Just for court change, like a bulky court change type of thing. But if this mon got back to me, I was taking it. No matter what, I was taking it. And I was shocked to see that I wasn't sure if everyone else just assumed it was taken by now, or if no one had room for it. Most people were floating around the type of points that I had, so I figured they must have room for it, but I guess I was wrong, because Chi Yu made it all the way to round 5 and into my hands. I maybe could have waited another pick to get this, but it didn't matter. The getting this is insane. I wasn't gonna let it go for another like on the long way round, on another one of the 24 picks. But the three people behind me, two of them had fire types, but another, looking at his team, he could very reasonably fit Chiyu in and make it work very well. So I couldn't risk that. Um, yeah, getting Chiyu is insane. I am so happy. We know what this mod does. Beads of Ruin, fire dark moves, obliterate everything. There's not much more to say than that. But it's nice. It also fits a nice speed tier. I needed a base 100 at this point. That was one of the big things I was missing. Getting a fire type is nice. Getting a dark type is nice. I haven't used this mod at all yet outside of mock battles with people, so I'm very excited to use it for real this time in a full regular season. Um, yeah, I'm very excited to use this. I'm still shocked it made it this far down, and I'm very happy with it. But after those three people behind me had all drafted, I realized I need to hard focus on a particular thing now that I've been having fun getting all these cool synergy mons. I have no hazard play. No stealth rocks, no spikes, no defog, no rapid spin. All I have is Toxic Spikes on Sneasler, which, as I've already said, I kind of just want to run Bulky Sneasler. Or not Bulky, what am I talking about? I want to run Setup Sweep for Sneasler. Like, that's the whole gimmick of the Mon. So, it's not going to be click Toxic Spikes very often. I need hazards really badly. I need hazard control, mainly the big one as hazard control. I can live without setting hazards. I can live. It'll be annoying, but I can live. But I can't go on without removing hazards myself, especially with Enamorous and Chiyu both being weak to rocks. I need to get good hazard clear. I've been thinking about this mon this entire draft as well, mostly because I wanted a rapid spinner, because defog pushes terrain away, and most of the good rapid spinners were taken. But I found Starmie, one of the few rapid spinners that looked good in my eyes. I needed a water type as well. I wanted to fill out Psychic. This mon can do a lot. It can be rapid spin, yes, obviously. But it can also be offensive. Hydro Pump does a lot. It's good. It's got a good Spatak. Psychic moves are going to do a lot. It's really fast already. I believe it gets Flip Turn now too. It's even good pivot. Recover, Calm. I think it gets Calm Mind. Yeah, I was very pleased to get this mon. It's not the mon I'm most excited about in this draft. That's probably going to be Chiyu, but it's the mon I'm very happy I was able to fit into this draft. But yeah, I needed rapid spin. That was what the gimmick of this was. I needed rapid spin, and this fills out my water type, which I've been looking for. Spoiler: I'm gonna get another water type, but for different reasons. So yeah, I think this mon was a nice pickup. I like having the rapid spin, so I don't clash with my own terrain. I think this is very nice. But my pick was between this and getting a steel type. That was the big debate that I had when I picked Starmie. The reason is because this was the part of the draft where the three people behind me are going next, right? Or no, that's a lie. No, this was the part of the draft where I had to, after taking Starmie, I had to let 12 coaches pick twice. So I was between taking Starmie and getting something else. A steel type is the answer there. I was between getting Starmie and getting a steel type. The reason I settled on Starmie is because Starmie was the bigger risk. If anyone else took Starmie, I'd have to rework a lot of my plan to fit in a lot more hazards, and I wasn't prepared to do that. But I looked at the draft board, and this was another thing I noticed. There were so many steel types left, and I was okay with getting any of them. Metagross, Iron Crown, Skarmory, I believe even Corviknight were all still on the table. I could have even fit Celesteela if I wanted to. But yeah, there were so many steel types left on the field that I was like, okay, I can get literally any of these guys and I'll be okay. And again, 12 coaches are picking twice. A couple of them already have good steals, so they're not going to get double steal. There's no way they all get taken by the time it gets back to me. I mainly thought about Skarmory first, just because it would do the rest of my hazards for me. It's Stealth Rock, Spikes, it's Defog, it's very good. Even though I already have a Flying, I think it's fine. I was okay with getting really anything, but what did end up getting back was probably the Mon that I was very happy to see. to get back, and that's Scizor. Regular Scizor is what I ended up getting. Um, why? Well, I noticed how I mentioned how I didn't really like Defog, but I wanted backup. I didn't want Starmie to be the only Mon that was getting rid of hazards. I wanted backup, and that is Scizor. Scizor, it's a more bulky U-turn, which is great, because I think I have more than enough breakers on this team. Enamorous, Chew, Raging Bolt can all do that. Rillaboom and Sneasler can do it if they want to. Even Starmie could do it if you really needed to. I guess Scizor could, but that's kind of a stretch. I needed a Mon that was... I wanted more pivot, really. I wanted more pivot. And Scizor is a Mon I've used before that I've gotten so much value out of. I may not show it in the KD, but in the support that this Mon has brought for me, has made me a very happy man. Most of my team I've never used before. Outside of Enamorous and Rillaboom I haven't even really used. I mean, I've drafted it, but I've never used it to its full potential. Enamorous is really the only Mon on here that I've, like, genuinely used before. Scizor changes that. I've used Scizor plenty of times, and I think it's nice just to have a Mon that I'm a lot more comfortable using when I'm trying out all these new things. This is very much a glue Mon. It's going to help hold the team together. It's going to be like Rillaboom. I can just kind of go to it on a lot of things and click U-turn, and get my more offensive guys in. So I was very happy to get this Mon. Gives me backup defog. Again, bulky pivot, like I've been talking about. Bullet Punch is another big one. I have even more priority now, which is nice. But yeah, at this point, I have a lot of removal. I don't have anything setting hazards. I need a Stealth Rock user. In addition, I have no ground type. That's a huge red flag. You need a ground type. In every draft you're ever going to do, you need a ground type. So I was between 3 picks. The Mon I ended up getting, and then Rhyperior and Sandaconda. There was a 2-point Mon I had in mind that I wanted to get, and Rhyperior with that Mon meant I'd have to switch out the 2-pointer, which I wasn't thrilled about. I could have gotten... In addition, Rhyperior has, like, 0 Spit-Av, and that can be a liability in a lot of cases. Especially when I want to run Stealth Rocks on it, which means I probably can't do Assault Vest. Sandaconda was just not good enough when I could have gotten a way better ground type, especially because I wanted that 2-pointer. It meant I'd have to get like an awkward 3-pointer to round out my draft and make it whole. I didn't really like that, so I settled on a nice in-between, which is Gastrodon. A second water type, I know, but I think it's fine, because I don't know how often I'll be bringing both these guys, and even then, they serve very different purposes, right? The main thing with Gastrodon is 2 things. One, it's Stealth Rocks. Yes, I want Stealth Rocks. Very key. I need a ground type, obviously. We just discussed this. But the other thing that's really nice is there are 2 scary raid teams brewing. The guy who first picked Pelipper ended up getting Archaludon 2 and a lot of other good support ones like Overquill. A lot of your standard very good rain mons. But his key mon that got sniped was Swampert Mega. Someone just took Swampert Mega and then got Politoed later. That's a rough snipe for him, but at the same time, it means that there are 2 rain teams, and I don't think I do great into either of them in this current position. Yes, Swampert Mega can't use Earthquake. It doesn't matter. With Swift Swim, it's very scary into me. I'm on like Barraskewda is clicking infinite flip turns. I know I could probably switch in Raging Bolt, but if they click something... Does he get ground moves? I always forget what Barraskewda's coverage is. Either way, those type of mons I'm really scared about. I don't want to fight them, but this mon has Storm Drain, so that makes me a lot more comfortable fighting those rain teams. This is the thing I end up doing a lot, is I end up trying to counter team the teams I believe are the biggest threats to me in mid-draft. Or I try to figure out what everyone else is drafting in order to pick things correct, which is why I showed you that screen where all 3 people behind me had dragon types, and that's the reason I picked Enamorous, and the reason I waited to take Raging Bolt. It's the reason I waited to take Scizor for so long, because there were so many other steel types on the table. But now we're so late in the draft that we can see what everyone's creating, and I'm scared of the rain teams. I took Storm Drain. I just needed it. Now, I mentioned what this mon is already. My last pick was Wigglytuff. Why? It's the same reason I picked Gastrodon. I'm counter-teaming. My team hates Dragapult. I'm gonna be so honest. My team despises Dragon Ball. Now that Spectreera is banned, I'm not super worried about switching into Ghost, which is why I'm taking a very offensive Dark type. But there's still gonna be Ghost spawns floating around. Having a normal type will help a lot with that. And again, this team I thought, in my opinion, very weak to Dragon Ball. So having a Mon that can just be immune to his dual stabs, I think is ridiculously powerful for me. In addition, this Mon gets all types of cleric moves: Wish, Aromatherapy, Heal Bell, whatever the other ones are. I don't remember. I think it gets Healing Wish. If it does, that's sick. If it doesn't, no, whatever. Yeah, but I really just took this Mon as backup. I thought it was a fun Mon. It's not my primary fairy. It's really just backup if everything else fails. Yeah, it's a cool Mon, I think. We'll see if this gets any value through the season. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, I'll be very happy. This could be like when I picked up Wardeer in Red Core Draft and ended up bringing it every week since picking it up. But yeah, overall, that's my team for BBDL. I'm very excited to use this team. I think this team is very good. I know Simply Kobe did power rankings on his channel. He did, and he did it by formula in which my team placed first. Spoiler alert. Sorry, but my team did place first, and I was pretty happy to see that. But at the same time, that was based on a formula that he cooked himself. He said based on the eye test, my team was number one, which I'm not. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think this team absolutely has weaknesses. Mainly, the double water and only having stealth wax on Gastrodon is very much a liability for me. That's going to be the hardest things to get around this season. But I think if I can do that, I could really take this far. I think this team is very nice. I'm very happy to use it, or I'm very excited to use it. We'll see in week one. My week one battle will probably come out next week, either Sunday or Monday, depending on when I want to lock down an upload schedule. If I do an upload schedule, and I'll still be doing the red cord videos. Don't worry about that. But this is just something I want to do on the side. But yeah, I'll see you guys at week one when I end up playing that. I started team building already, I will say. I am bringing some fire. I'm very excited. I'll see you guys next time.